there's not one fucking joke that interrupts this scene. Thor Ragnarok, 100 times better than Thor Love and Thunder. That's how I'm starting this fucking puppy, because, alright, if you guys have seen the last couple videos I've been doing lately, I saw Thor Love and Thunder, and that one freaking sucked so much that I went back and watched some of the old MCU movies to try to see how they stack up and how I remember them, because a lot of them I only saw the one time and that was it, like in the theater, and that was it. I did not see them again. So I rewatched the Thor 1, 2, and now number 3, and I gotta say, I remember not liking number 3 that much when it came out. There's some things in it that I enjoyed, but I remember thinking, Thor 3 was okay, but I don't really care. But I thought a lot of things annoyed me. But rewatching it, no, I did not come out that annoyed. There's maybe a few moments that was like, kind of eye-rolling a little bit, but for the most part, this movie was freaking good, I would say. I'd say this was a good film here. Even visually, it was okay. Even some of the CGI, it holds up from what I can tell here. It's better than some of the modern ones they do these days, here and there. I'll say, Multiverse of Madness. But anyway, Thor 3, a lot of people didn't like it, or some people did like it because of the change. There's a tone change. It was a little bit more comedic. It felt more Guardians of the Galaxy-esque. It was a little more comedy to it. Thor's cracking some jokes here and there. But I think that it was actually okay, because at this point, this is past the Thor 1 and 2, it's past the Avengers, past Avengers 2, and he's been around for a little while. He's gone through quite a few different stuff. And I think by this point, to me, it made sense that he would be a little bit comedic. He's spent a lot of time on Earth hanging out with the Avengers and doing stuff with them. So he's got a lot. I feel like he's hung around people that crack jokes all the time, that it's rubbed off on him a little bit. And so he can do that sort of a thing, and that he can figure out certain things without just bashing through it right away all the time. So when you start out with him being captured by Deserter or whatever, Thor's narrating a little bit to a skeleton, which is the audience essentially, I suppose, and he's talking to Deserter, and he's getting some details about what he wants to do and everything, and then once he knows what he needs to know, then he springs into action and starts to fight and everything. So you could even excuse the comedy that they try to have in the film plays with the plot, and I would say the comedy is tame. If we're comparing it to Thor Love and Thunder, the comedy here is pretty much one and done, and it has to do with the plot, and it comes from the character that is in the scene doing whatever. It makes more sense as to where the comedy in Thor Love and Thunder is just kind of random and is just always present. There is always an attempt to be funny in Thor Love and Thunder, and they fail the majority of the time in that film. In Thor Ragnarok, it is a lot more, it's spaced out a little bit better, and again, it comes from a lot of the characters. When Thor ends up going to Asgard, and this is the first time he's been on Asgard in a while, since Thor 2, we assume, and if we remember at the end of Thor 2, Loki somehow was taking the form of Odin, and somehow Odin is gone. We don't know what happened to him, and so we find that out here. But Thor goes to his place, and they're doing a little play reenacting the end of Thor 2, and they're doing this little show for Odin, even though it's Loki. And it makes sense why they're doing that play, and who told them. Odin has told them. It's my son has died and everything. It all made sense to why they're doing that little play. And Loki is a little full of himself, and he's playing Odin, fooling everybody with it, and he's watching it. There you go, great. And Thor's there, and he's skeptical of this. He's like, yeah, Father's doing this, really? There's a lot of stuff going on in the universe, and this is the most confined my people have been. Odin's usually a little bit more aware of things going on in the universe, and he's just sitting here, you're Loki. And this whole time, Thor thought that Loki was dead, and so he did mourn. He was sad that Loki was gone, but nope, it turns out he's alive. But he's also not surprised either. He's like, Loki is just always full of freaking tricks. That's just what he does nowadays, whatever. Okay, so he wants to find out where Odin is, but he's like, okay. He's trying to, he just goes right into, I'm going to throw my hammer, throws his hammer, and then he puts Loki in front of him as Odin, and is like, I can't stop it, once it gets over here, And if Loki's in the way, and the hammer can crush you. If it was Odin, Odin could likely stop the hammer because he's like one that casts a spell on it and everything. He has some sort of control over the hammer in some way. Loki does not. So he like threatens him with that as the hammer's on its way back, as Thor calls to it, and then Loki gets out of the way. He confesses with it, and he comes out, and then they are gonna go and see where Odin is, because Loki put Odin on Earth basically. And before that, too, before we go to the Earth thing, I want to say they wasted such a good character with I forget the actor's name, who is in Lord of the Rings and who's in The Boys, who plays as Butcher. He plays as the Executioner in this one, and he's like kind of taken over for Heimdall because Loki banished Heimdall for being like an extremist or something. And it's just like, man, like this character, this actor is so freaking awesome. He's in such good stuff, but he's just wasted here. It's just an idiot. He just played as an idiot, and that's it. Like, he doesn't really do anything that great in the film. He's a little funny, but it's a little funny, not that funny. And it's just like, yeah, okay, that's what you do. So that was disappointing. But when you go to Earth, as soon as they get on Earth, Loki is like taken into this portal thing that Doctor Strange makes up. Then he meets up with Thor and talks to him. This was a great way. This is like after Doctor Strange film was out, and this is the first time that you got like this type of a crossover in their films. Just like, just immediately, oh wow, okay, cool. You have Thor meet Doctor Strange. Awesome. This, alien god meeting Earth's new wizard over here. So that was a pretty good way that they introduced that, and how his reaction as soon as Loki's back after the Avengers, where Loki led a freaking alien army here with the staff and Tesseract and everything. Like, it makes sense that Doctor Strange would be like, okay, I don't know why he's here and what he's doing. I don't even know what you're doing and what you're capable of. What are you doing here? And it all makes sense. And the comedy that happens with Thor and Doctor Strange is minimal comedy, and that's what I think is a lot better than the comedy they have in Thor: Love and Freaking Thunder. Again, like, some of the comedy is like Thor accidentally knocks something over that's like special. That's like a very common type of trope that happens in a lot of things. And as they're talking to each other, they're teleporting around to different areas, to different sanctums or something, or different parts of the sanctum. And Thor keeps on spilling his beer a little bit. He keeps on spilling his beer whenever they teleport. He's not used to teleporting in that way. He's used to like the Bifrost travel and stuff, not used to teleporting at a whim. So he's a little taken aback and he's spilling his drink. That's the comedy part. That's the joke part. And that's great, because it's not like banging you over the freaking head with a joke. It's just a subtle, he's spilling his drink as they're going around and Doctor Strange is talking and like Thor's having trouble paying attention. That's all that was. I missed that type of comedy. That was a good level of comedy. It wasn't beating you over the freaking head with it. And anyway, and then when he brings Loki back, Loki's like, "Oh, you little fucker! Like, trying to mess with me? Well, you think you're a wizard? He's the god of mischief. He's a trickster. He wants to battle this guy right here." But nope, Doctor Strange is not having it. He's like, "All right, I'll send you to your dad, to Odin," and there you go. Then sends him. Odin's in Norway hanging out, which makes sense because the Vikings, when they used to travel here, that's who they hung out with or something. What the Vikings based their culture on was the Asgardians. So that made sense. I like that. That was also a small little detail that I think is good. And the scene that they have with Odin, I think everybody would say is really good. There's not one fucking joke that interrupts this scene. Odin is sitting and talking with Thor and Loki, and there is not one fucking wisecrack. It is just a conversation with a father and his sons. And again, of course, there's always been the thing with Loki being the adopted son. His sons. Like that. This is important for their arc and everything, what they're doing. Odin is about to die, and he has some guilt that he's letting off on them, and he's telling them he's proud and everything. And it was really good. It was done well. And the few times Loki didn't say anything during that whole conversation, Thor did most of the talking when Odin wasn't. But they cut to Loki a few times, and he just has his visual expressions kind of tell you what he's thinking. He's like, "Oh, man, like, I've had a lot of issues with my father. I've had a lot of issues with my brother and everything, but it makes me sad that he's about to die, essentially. That their father, the guy who raised him, saved him, everything, is about to die." So that scene was done well. And then as soon as Odin's gone, Thor's a little pissed. He's blaming Loki at the moment, and Loki's just like, "Oh, I didn't mean for any of this." to happen like this. And then before they can get into a spat with each other, Hela arrives. That is their older sister, who was a lot more hardcore and evil and everything, and helped conquer the worlds back in the day. And as long as Odin was alive, she was banished. But now that he's gone, she's back. And yeah, she wasn't that great. There's no prelude to her in any of the prior films, so it seems kind of sudden. She looks all right, and she has quite the entrance where like Thor throws his hammer at her, and she just catches it and breaks it. Loki is in utter shock. He's like, "Fucking what? We're fucked. We're fucked. We can't beat this chick. We're done already." And so he calls for the Bifrost to be opened and be taken back to Asgard. Thor does not want to leave. He doesn't want to have the Bifrost go to Asgard with her following, but he also doesn't want Earth to be left defenseless, is how I kind of saw that scene, where either scenario he doesn't want, he wants to still fight her, was the idea. But while they're in the Bifrost and they're going together, again, Thor and Loki have a lot of issues with each other up to this point, even still, but like they do have a brotherly camaraderie and understanding in the right situations. Like Hela is coming after them in the Bifrost. Thor notices like Loki, and Loki instinctively just immediately throws a couple daggers at her, and she blocks that and knocks him out. And then there's a little fight in there, but it's like, I like just that little moment where Thor sees her coming. He says, Loki, and Loki just immediately tries to attack her. Like these two are in brotherly sync, not, what, Thor? It just went. I like that. It's a small detail, but I like that. And it's like, so they get to the car and everything. Like, I'm not going to go through the whole film like this, because it'll take forever at that rate, because I'm already going like over 10 minutes now with this. But those were the main scenes that I wanted to break down and talk about how this is a pretty good film here. This is a pretty good film, especially in comparison to Thor Love and freaking Thunder. Again, in Thor Love and Thunder, they try to set up some type of dramatic things, but they're always undercut by some type of humor they're attempting to have that isn't funny. Later in the film, Thor's talking to Korg, and he's talks about his hammer. They're about to choose a weapon before he goes and fights in the ring, or in the arena. And he's like, I used to have a hammer. It was with me a long time. It helped me through a lot of hard problems. And Korg makes a crack like, "Oh, it's like a next lover or something. Or you must have had a special relationship with that hammer, huh?" And that was the joke, and that was it, and that was the only time that was brought up. In Thor: Love and Thunder, that type of joke is taken to literally like, "Oh, it's like an ex-lover. It's like my ex hammer, and oh, my new weapon is jealous of that one," and it's just completely unfunny. And they do that throughout Thor: Love and Thunder. Like, more than it takes up, like, I'm not kidding, like around 8 minutes of screen time of this weird hammer and axe drama with Thor. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. Like, it was just a little joke in Ragnarok, which is why I think it worked in Ragnarok. And then in Love and Thunder, they take that so far, and it's just not funny. It just isn't funny. Like, maybe if they did it one time in Thor: Love and Thunder, it's like a callback and a small continuation, I think I would give it more points, but they keep on going with it, which makes it cringe as fuck. And so they have Valkyrie in this, and a lot of people don't like Valkyrie or Tessa. They don't like Tessa Thompson. And I don't know much about Tessa Thompson in real life. All I know is that I don't know, it doesn't matter. But I think that her role in Ragnarok was done pretty well. I don't remember her doing too many important things after Ragnarok, and then I saw her in Love and Thunder, and she's played up to be important, but it doesn't really come off as that. She comes off as a side character tag-along, honestly. But in Thor: Love and Thunder, she had a lot of potential here. She has a great relation with the Hulk. And the Hulk, I'm going to go into a different video on the Hulk later, because going through this again just reminded me of how much I really liked the dichotomy of there being a Hulk consciousness and a Banner consciousness in their one body, instead of the Professor Hulk bullshit we have now. So that's for later. But the Hulk is, for somehow people were thinking that like the Hulk and Black Widow were having some kind of relation potentially. I never saw it that way. I saw it as Banner and Black Widow were having some type of relations. They were liking each other. And the Banner, different than Hulk, is how I'm seeing that. Hulk has his own interest and his own thing, and he likes Valkyrie. That's kind of how I was seeing some of this play out. Because to me, even if they're sharing the same body, I don't think that it would make sense that the Hulk would have anything for Black Widow. It just she calms him down to turn into Banner, is all that was to me. In the Avengers Age of Ultron was like she knows how to calm him down and to bring Banner out. So that was fine. That made sense to me. It didn't have to be like a love relationship there. But with Valkyrie, it's cool. She's somebody that can somewhat match Thor in strength, a little bit. I mean, he's way the fuck stronger than her, but still somebody that can take a punch. She can, that's nice. The Hulk likes that, it seems. He loves the car. He can, throw around his strength and people can take a beating here and there and not be totally dead. So that was good. The entrance, of course, when the Hulk comes out as the champion that Thor has to fight, and Thor's like, yeah, my buddy, he's all the way in space. Fuck yes. After all this crap I've been going through as well, an old friend. Thank you. I can see this is great. Finally. And somebody strong that he can help me win back my Asgard and everything. Great. Awesome. So, that made sense. And, why Hulk didn't want to leave the place because, people on Earth see him as a monster and everything, and they just want Banner. Like, I like that. And he's been the Hulk for 2 years, it seems. 2 years without letting Banner out at all. That's insane. And that would be excellent scenes. That would have been great to lead to, like, a scene or two where the Hulk and Banner have to talk to each other. Which apparently they have, like, a cut, like a deleted scene that wasn't fully filmed, but still a scene that they had filmed where Banner and the Hulk are talking to each other. Where they are talking to each other, and they are trying to work it out. I like that concept, but even then, I have to save the Hulk stuff for later because I'll just go on to the Hulk. So with Thor in this movie, they go into the final battle. I'm gonna wrap it up here with this right here. It's like they go into the final battle, and they're on Asgard, and the other gladiators and everything follow them with Loki and all that, and they have their fight. Thor's fighting her, and what the god of hammers, and then he gets he fully embraces he is the god of freaking thunder, and he unleashes all that he can on Hela, and it still doesn't do much. That's the one aspect of the film that I kind of wish would change. Like, I'm fine with him not being able to get the full, be able to beat her entirely, because they make it clear that the longer she's been on Asgard, the stronger her power has been getting, which is weird to me that's a thing that she has, but I don't know. That's just what it is. She gets more powerful the longer she's on Asgard, so she's been getting stronger and stronger, and this is new power to him that he's fully embracing. He's always channeled his power through the hammer, and that's gone, so just having the power flow through him and use it as he can is new to him. It's different. And they had this stuff with Zerter, previously in the film. I think it would have been somewhat interesting if he does unleash Zerter, but I don't know if it would be that he has to team up with him. I thought it'd be more interesting if he could, I don't know, somewhat use the power of Zerter or something to challenge her, because she's like the goddess of death and something. It just, I don't know. It seemed odd that the only way to beat her is with this other giant thing that isn't Thor. It's fine. It's just nowadays they keep on having it where the hero can't beat the person by themselves. So the villain has to beat themselves, or the hero has to set up somebody else to beat them for them. And it just, I like it, just some of the old fashioned where you can beat them yourself, but it's, it's a long, hard battle. He loses an eye in this fight. There could have been a lot of narrative stuff you could do with him and her being siblings. And they tried to do some of that stuff here and there, but it just didn't really, there wasn't enough screen time to have those two have any sort of conversations and going through stuff prior to a fight in the final act. So, I guess you get what you get. This is a big epic ending thing. There's, a funny bit where where the Hulk jumps and tries to fight Zerter, and he just smacks him away, and he's like, big monster. I got to fight the big monster. It makes sense. And, again, the comedy was small, but came from characters and actions that made sense. Anyway, I guess that's gonna end this video. Talking, I didn't compare everything to Thor 4. I feel like the point is clear on how I'm describing a lot of these scenes and how well they're done compared to a lot of scenes in Thor 4. Anyway, if you've seen it, you get what I mean here. You fucking get it, right? Thor Ragnarok was pretty damn good looking back. It was pretty fucking good. I don't know what I'd rate it in the scale or like compared to the other MCU films, but it's a fucking good one. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you later.